Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio. Today we are taking a look at an article from Game Rant here that simply asks the question, when should a cartoon series end? Some cartoons look like they'll never conclude and some never get a true ending. The real question is, when should a current cartoon end? Cartoons seem to portray themselves as this magical universe where nobody ages, nothing ever changes to a vast degree, and a lot of the time, the show itself never looks to be heading toward the finish line. There are many factors that go into whether a show continues or not. Sometimes it might be out of the studio's hand, as there is a bigger party pulling the strings of their viewing output. The biggest cartoon in recent memory to receive an ending was BoJack Horseman. The show only had 6 seasons, and whether or not it should have had more time, it still managed to wrap things up in a classic reality-driven style. Whether it is through ratings, nostalgia, fan demand, or a return from being canceled, some shows just don't seem to know how to end. Adult comedies such as The Simpsons, Family Guy, and South Park are still releasing episodes in 2022, and with the first two lacking in a lot of continuity, it's hard to see them coming to a natural end. South Park may look like the only one of these long-running adult comedies to come to an end due to its release schedule over the last couple of years. Of course, the pandemic halted their schedule, but South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker reduced the number of episodes per season years ago, giving them a continuous story, and now there are shorter seasons and more specials on the way. There has been a look into the futures of South Park characters, and for a show that's always trying to get itself canceled, it looks like if Stone and Parker really wanted to end their creation, they could do it at any moment. South Park is a show that could confidently end. Looking at the Simpsons universe and what continues to produce lower-rated episodes and seasons with few exceptions, the show continues to move along with the times as if the earlier content never happened, beside a few throwback moments. The show has been faced with criticism in recent years due to having a white cast voicing non-white characters and the lower number of live viewers it receives every year. Viewing behaviors have changed over the years with streaming, but still, the show continues to trend lower scoring episodes and viewing numbers that are less than a third of its golden age era. Through Disney+, The Simpsons received what could be considered a nostalgic renaissance, with people revisiting the show with ease. The show has started to release short spin-off episodes, although these are usually tied in with another of Disney Plus's programming and aren't the first long-running adult cartoon to create spin-offs of its original content. With an aging cast and voice work that is not as up to scratch as it once was, some fans hope that the show could find a high note to end on and not dwindle until it dies out. As the show is already renewed for a 34th season and is the longest-running animated series currently on the air today, the best way to finish would be to round it up to the 35th season and answer any questions the show still has. Even former writer Conan O'Brien joked that the show should have a dark ending, with Marge finally leaving Homer, but even though the show continues to beat the dead horse around the two's marriage, it would seem cruel to split the family up. The Simpsons' sister show Futurama, whilst popular, has seen multiple cancellations throughout its history. Each time the show has been canceled, it has always ended on a note that is respective to the series and would be a comfortable finish. This usually centers around the relationship between Fry and Leela. Now, Futurama will be returning once more on Hulu. Futurama was a show that knew how to conclude when faced with cancellation, whereas a lot of shows get to continue and have no need to worry about canceling. There may be the overall issue, without a threat, these cartoons will not stop. Even the long-running children's show Arthur finally came to an end after 25 years on the air and used the future lives of the main characters as its ending gimmick. This has also been seen in shows like Digimon and works well in concluding cartoons. If factors such as viewing numbers, audience appeal, new audience members, story quality, and animation budgets were all taken into consideration, that would certainly have a knock-on effect. Animation is more expensive every year, but with popular Fox shows now owned by Disney, their budgets may not be a problem. Viewing numbers for all animated shows are now lower than expected, and the story quality does appear to be lacking when compared to the early days of the aforementioned animated shows. All things considered, it may be time to hang up the boots of some beloved classics. No doubt each show will still have core fans enjoying the newer episodes, but for a lot of franchises that now rely solely on their TV output, it is a bitter end that must be faced. A show like Avatar: The Last Airbender is a perfect example of how a story should build up to its finale. However, in comparison, it is a show that has character development and a timeline, making it easier to write off an animated show. As previously mentioned, The Simpsons just follows trends and have no main plot, so it doesn't worry about the same issues. There are more shows that get it wrong than those that get it right before they meet their end, but at the same time, it is out of an animation studio's control. A cartoon should end under the control of the studio in association with the larger third party to please fans after storylines are exhausted and viewer numbers continue to decrease below the millions. And guys, in reality, what this article is basically saying, the long and short of it, is they're basically saying, look, there are diminishing returns with these shows. At some point, The Simpsons is going to have to end. South Park is going to have to end. Family Guy is going to have to end. American Dad is going to have to end. These shows can't keep going forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Because these shows run into the exact same problems that every long-running franchise runs into, whether it be a movie franchise or a TV franchise. The longer you go on, the more seasons of a show you have, the more movies you have in a movie franchise, the more exclusionary the franchise becomes. It becomes harder and harder for new people to jump in because, like with American Dad, oh my God, what are they up to now? Like season 16, season 17? Imagine trying to jump into it now. Oh my God, where do I start with American Dad? And, you know, and if you're starting in later episodes when Jeff comes back, you have to remember that within the first 10 seasons, Jeff gets, Roger tricks Jeff into getting abducted by aliens. So you could have multiple seasons where Jeff isn't there. Well, why isn't Jeff there? Well, you got to watch the show from the beginning in order to really understand what happened to Jeff. Oh, fuck that. I'm not going to watch 17 seasons of an animated show just to get into it. I'm not going to watch 20 seasons of Family Guy. I'm not going to watch 25 seasons of South Park. I'm not going to watch 34 seasons of The Simpsons. I think you guys get my point from here on out. And they bring up Futurama, and Futurama is a great example of a show that's beloved, but it got canceled many times. But let's also be frank and let's be honest here. The fact that Futurama kept getting canceled probably helped the show more than hurt it. Because if Futurama didn't keep on getting canceled, it would have ran into the exact same problems as Family Guy, American Dad, The Simpsons, in that it would have had a season on TV every year from 1999 all the way up to, well, now 2022, or whatever year you are currently watching this video in. So you're talking, again, over 20 seasons versus the reality of Futurama was it got canceled the first time, I believe in 2003. Then it was brought back for 4 straight-to-video movies, and then Comedy Central revived it. I believe was it 2007? No. I want to say it was 2000. I want to say it was 2010. It depends on when it ended. I don't remember exactly when Futurama originally ended, so I'm gonna look it up real quick on Futurama. I on IMDb. I know you guys can't see my screen, but just letting you know what I'm doing because you probably hear my keyboard. Okay, here we go. Season 10. Okay, yeah, it didn't conclude until 2013. So when did season 7 premiere? Because I know that, okay, yeah, it was 2010. Okay. So yes, Futurama first got canceled in 2003, was brought back for straight-to-video movies, then was revived by Comedy Central in 2010, was canceled again in 2013, and is now being revived for Hulu. So whether you want to admit it or not, Futurama getting canceled so many times, it forces the writers to throw out all the crap ideas and only put the good ideas forward because the show is only coming back every few years. So you have to make it an event. You have to make it more special because you're not releasing a new season of this show every single freaking year. So going back to the initial question, when should a cartoon series end? Well, I think the real argument you could make with this is have a clear end goal with your cartoon series. If you're engineering it like a comic book, in the sense that it's going to go on forever and ever and ever until the end of time, at some point people are going to lose interest, the show is going to fizzle out, and it may have been really popular at one point in time in the case of The Simpsons, but once it fizzles out, and it never comes back. Versus a show like Futurama, because it got canceled so many times, and it had a great ending, people still talk about Futurama to this day, even before Hulu revived it. Whereas once The Simpsons ends, how many people are going to sit back and go, oh, thank God, The Simpsons is finally frickin' over. Thank God, South Park is finally over. Thank God, Family Guy is finally over. Thank God, American Dad is finally over. So on and so forth. That's the real argument. Is there is a law of diminishing returns. Therefore, you should not make your cartoon series. You should not engineer your cartoon series to be like a comic book where it can go on forever and ever and ever until the end of time, because, quite frankly, it's just not realistic. And guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it right there before I drag this out for way longer than it needs to be. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, you know I'm terrible at ending these videos, so I will just see you guys next time.